proudest day and the proudest time in the seat of a rally car, because that day and that hour and those minutes, I got the bit between my teeth. You know, I really stood up and was counted and said, this is not getting away. I remember when we pulled on our helmets and Donald says to me, what are we doing? I said, we're going for gold, Barrett. That's all was said. I can still picture that run. That was just the best run ever.
Welcome along to Krunching Gears, the Rally Podcast, Season 3, Episode 22. Another very busy weekend of rallying just passed. We had Rally Croatia, the latest round of WRC, and then we had the Burr Rally on as well, the latest round of the National Championship. So this week's episode then, Connor, you caught up with Rich Milner, and then Will and Liam, who had a good run in Croatia as well too. And then from Burr, I spoke to David Kelly, and then John and Ruthann, who had a fantastic run the first time out in the Fiesta R5. And then Gareth, Deazley and Oisin, Joyce, they won Rally 4, and that was a fascinating battle. And then this weekend coming in, then we have Deja Vu Northwest. I spoke to Plum Tyndall about that there, and that was kind of a big one for me there, getting speaking to Plumby is that voice, it's just so unmistakable. And then Sean Doherty from Maiden City Motor Club joins us then to tell us about the Birr Stages this weekend as well too. But Connor, Croatia, you got to sample the WRC in the flesh once again.
I did. Very enjoyable weekend. Didn't quite know what to expect because during the recce it snowed. And 2 days prior to the recce it had been 28-30 degrees. When we landed it was in around 12, and then on the Saturday morning with frost on the stages, so we got all conditions and a huge threat of rain which never really materialized. But Croatia didn't fail to deliver once again. We had drama galore, particularly on the Sunday. Everybody was concerned Sundays were getting boring. I think far from it, particularly with Croatia.
Yeah, because it turned the leaderboard on its head almost, didn't it?
It was just incredible. Where we were at a kind of a spectator fan zone on stage 18, which is where everything happened, which was also to be the power stage, and there was a huge screen, and we could see the in-car camera as things happened. So for Mo, broke the steering arm just 50 yards up the road from us. Then he limped and parked up near us while he changed the steering arm, and fair play to him. Then next thing we're watching the in-car, and Evans had an incident where he spun, and then after that was followed by Neville, and it was just, oh my God. And then it went silent in the crowd, and then everybody realized Ogier's now leading, and the cheer went up. It was just mental.
Yeah. Unbelievable. And that is the magic of live sport, isn't it? There's very few other sports you'll get that, raw emotion just there on the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it really was, and you just didn't know what was going to come next. But good event. Challenging for our home crews, but it certainly delivered again. And it's a tough one. There's a lot of work there for the crews. Those stages get polluted very badly and very quickly, and they really do rely on having their gravel note teams with them as well.
Yeah, and that was Ogier's 100th podium and 59th one, I think, isn't it? Isn't that right? Yeah, and what can we say? The guy has been there, done it, and got so many T-shirts, and with who's the best Lober, who they're the best of the bunch at this time, and the fact that he's done it in more manufacturers too gives it a wee bit more credence as well too. But you wouldn't want to have to ever choose between the two of them.
No, you couldn't, and it's hard to pick who's the best ever. Is it Loeb? Is it Ogier? I don't know if I could answer that.
No.
But in fairness, Ogier was there. Ogier was battling, but he couldn't close the gap to Neville and Evans. They certainly were on a slightly different level to him. Now, push comes to shove, could he have turned it on to get them? you would think it's OJ, so yes, he could, but yeah, he just wasn't able to just match the exact pace they were on. He was always in around sort of that 11 seconds distance, pretty much for most of the event from them, but that was enough to be there to pick up the pieces when it went wrong, and it didn't just go wrong once; it went wrong twice. And amazing to see both Evans and Neville caught out on the stage almost in the same stretch.
Yeah, unbelievable. And then, like I don't know what it's the proper technical term for it, but the Sunday run, like Taka and Aaron, not struggled all weekend, but weren't just maybe on the ultimate pace, but they were fastest over the Sunday run. So that gives us great hope now going forward that the Taka has now found the pace in dry tower now as well.
Absolutely. I think, yeah, it was maybe a little bit too conservative on the Friday and part of Saturday and just getting everything tweaked and set up and right. And yeah, Sunday it was about they were chasing the points and they went after those extra points. So, very good to see. And I know certainly talking to some of the Japanese journalists that were there covering Takamoto, they were impressed about how much Taka has come along, but also very complimentary about the relationship between Aaron and Taka and how the two seem to work very well together.
They have great banter between them, and they seem to be not friendly, not right, a very humorous relationship as well as the trust relationship as well, isn't there? So, and then as you mentioned in our own crews, like Will and Liam had set some fantastic times. Yes, they're the puncher and they slid off the road, but like you take that out of it, they set some really brilliant times over the weekend.
Genuinely, they did. Like, at no stage were they outside of the top 10 WRC2 times. And, set a third fastest, they set two fifth fastest, a fourth, really had some genuinely strong times, particularly on the Friday. And that came like, they suffered on stage one with a puncture. They had to stop and they lost 2 minutes. They bounced right back.
Hmm.
It didn't knock the confidence. It didn't throw them. Saturday, their times are good, but probably not just as strong because their road running order. They were farther down the field, and as I said, those stages pollute rapidly. And when you get onto those little bits of stones that come out, it's like being on marbles. We got to drive our car over the stages after the cruise had passed, and you went into some of those corners, and the car was just
Rolling
taken off
across
of
it,
its
yeah.
own accord. It was mental how little grip there was.
That's for sure. And then after that, then also like Eamon and Connor, just one of them weekends, just everything they seemed to touch just seemed to go wrong.
Yeah, it just didn't work out for them. Started with a puncture, then they had a coil pack failure. They had a spare, they were able to change that. Then they had intercom failure, and then basically Saturday morning, just that car was going nowhere. The M Sport just called it a day on the car. Technical failure. It was sorry, terminal technical failure. And unfortunately for the two lads, they'd come a long way. They had done the Rally Quattro the week before to get the experience out in Croatia, and I suppose we're hoping to demonstrate that their win last year wasn't just a flash in the pan. You know that they were on or looking for a podium result in Croatia, and it was just unfortunate they never got the chance to really show what they could do again this year.
That's for sure. But no doubt, Eamon and Connor will bounce back. We know we've seen them in the past and their belt of stern stuff. So anyway, I think without us talking any more really about it, I think first of all we'll hear from Rich Milner and then that will roll into Will and Liam.
Rich, thanks for joining us. Rally Croatia is just over, and I suppose planning's already started for preparation for Portugal. But just wanted to have a quick chat to you about, I suppose, how Adrian's been getting on. Like he's had we're 4 rounds into the championship. He's had some fairly strong performances, but I mean, at the start of the year, could you have imagined that Adrian would be sitting third overall in the Drivers' Championship at this stage?
I mean, actually, he asked me that exact question himself when we were having a chat one day, and I said yes. Thought that if we went into these first 3 rounds in the way we wanted, because they're quite specialist, and went with the attitude of not trying to do anything special, just genuinely having our own rally, doing our own thing, then we would get good results. And okay, we got 2 podiums, which maybe we didn't quite expect straight away so early in the year. But yeah, I did think that he could achieve what he did. And I think every rally we go to, we start to learn a little bit more about where he is mentally and where he is in terms of skill as well with driving the car. And I think anybody who's watched the full onboard of the power stage can very quickly see how committed he is. So I did believe that he could do it. It's taken a big team effort, though. The car's been reliable, the car's been good, and so have Adrian and Alex. And sadly, it's going to get more difficult for us as we go on now, because the pressure automatically builds that the expectation is to do this on every rally. And there's certainly going to be some strong competition ahead and some big challenges. But I think it's all within his stride, to be honest. I don't see why we can't continue to be fighting for the positions that we are on the future rallies as well.
And throughout the event in Croatia, like he kept Oisin pretty much under pressure. Like I don't think the gap between them got any more than 19 or 20 seconds was the max, but pretty much it was in around the low number. So like you must be happy with how the Puma has developed and come on. And I don't know whether the new wing has added that much to the performance as well.
I mean, it's in principle it's very similar to the car we had last year. Any changes are mainly setup based. There's not really anything massively technically changed since previous. I think we took a different direction compared to where we went with Oit last year, and we obviously had a challenging year last year. So we went basically back to setups that we knew worked in 2022 and were successful with Seb. But at the same time, use some of the extra stuff that we'd learned with Oit last year that did work and combine the two. And we seem to have a good package that's a good compromise at the minute on all surfaces as we've seen so far. So we haven't done anything massively to kind of reinvent the wheel. There isn't the ability to do that within technical regulations. But I think what's good to see is that Adrian's now at a point where you can sit there and watch him competing, expecting him to be competitive, not being too concerned that he's on the edge everywhere. He's able to control the drive and ensure that he finishes the rally as well as be up against the other guys. And it wasn't just Oit he was keeping right at the weekend. He was putting pressure on all of the top drivers, and that was shown again with the power stage win and the win on the 20k stage on Saturday. So he had a really strong weekend right across the whole board. So that was really good to see. It wasn't one or two. It wasn't one stage of a good performance. The whole weekend was another fantastic drive.
And again, we saw the importance of the drivers and the co-drivers having those mechanical skills as well. When the power steering, or not the power steering, but the steering arm broke on stage 18, and again on the Sunday, it's about defending, making sure you finish, so you defend the points you've earned on the Friday and the Saturday. So, like that was quite. I was impressed now with the turnaround time. I think it was 15 or 16 minutes. They had the steering arm changed.
Yeah, I mean, sadly, we needed to change it. I wish we didn't, but probably the only error across the whole weekend, with big consequences and another tough lesson for Adrian to learn. But the way he handled the whole situation was exactly as we wanted to see. He looked at the damage, quickly identified what needed change, knew he had the part in the car, knew that the points for Sunday were gone, but there was still an opportunity for points on the power stage, and he had to finish the rally to get the points from Friday and Saturday. So he did it perfectly, really. In a worst case scenario, which it was, he did the best result possible from it. So, we urge all the drivers to spend time here working on the cars, to work out, how to change parts in that aren't necessarily new parts being replaced like for like. There's always going to be a bit of damage with on the rallies when you have an incident like that, and learning how to get the cars out and on the bush repairs, bush mechanics as we call it. And one of the bolts was bent in one of the clevises on the suspension when he was changing that steering arm, so that took him a little bit extra time. But again, he did everything he needed to do, got the car back together, and then went and won the power stage as well. So it was a great story to watch. It was just such a shame that we lost a few extra points that we probably would have got.
I can only imagine it was a bit nerve-wracking, in the service park, watching it on the big screen.
There was a few expletives, I think, when we saw it happen. But I think that's just, you're so into the whole storyline and what we're achieving over the weekend. And I've said to other people, it takes so much effort to get to a rally and compete a whole event all weekend with no issues. It's a massive effort that begins even before Friday, you have the recce, you have tests. It's a week and a half, 2 week build up to the actual start of the rally. So to get there 90% of the way through the rally and have the issue was a shame. But we certainly weren't the only ones to have an issue on Sunday. So it's the same for everybody in some ways, and it keeps the championship very exciting.
Certainly does. And then moving on to William and Liam, the step up this year from Rally 3 last year to Rally 2 this year. They had a third overall in West Cork, then 2 second places on the first 2 rounds of the BRC. How do you feel they're settling into the Rally 2 car?
I have to say, I think they've probably surpassed most people's expectations of where we expected them to be at this point in the year. Winning the JWRC is a fantastic achievement, but we're often a little bit concerned the step up to WRC2 is still a big jump. Now we've moved to Rally 3. I think we are in JWRC. I think we're starting to see that jump is slightly less of a bigger gap than it was when it was a Rally 4 car, 2-wheel drive. But regardless, Will has still done a fantastic job. And when we spoke with the academy and obviously the prize drive from JWRC, our goal was to try and get as many events as possible 4-wheel to get as much seat time. And he's barely been out of the car since kind of February. So he's had a great run. But, the BRC was there and put into the calendar because it would help. It often helps that when you're driving in WRC, your driving level is rising because you're up against the best competition in the world. And then when you come back to a national championship, you're in a very confident place. And we often find people do better in the national championships after they've done WRC level stuff. So the idea was to kind of mirror the 2 programs or keep the 2 programs together throughout the year. And that seems to have worked. But, he's saying that even before that, when he went to West Cork, I was really impressed how quick he was in what was very tricky conditions. And did speak to the guys out there and was saying, keep Will calm, don't make any silly mistakes now on the second day. And the first stage of the second day, I look up the results and he's fastest overall, I think it was. So I was kind of like, I'm not sure whether we're telling the right thing here or not. But I have to say his composure and the way he handles himself, and I think Liam is a fantastic person to have alongside him. I've known Liam for a long time, but he's a good safe pair of hands to keep Will firmly planted on the floor and knows when to push and knows when to hang back. But every rally he's done so far, he's set incredibly good times. Okay, Sweden is difficult with not knowing it that much, but all of the tarmac rallies, the BRC events, and the times in Croatia on the first day, all are opening people's eyes to potentially has. I think there will be a few headaches along the way, hiccups and learning difficulties of how the pace is on these WRC events, and we saw that in Croatia with a slow off and a roll, and then a small mistake on the final stage, which broke suspension, but nothing major. And I think that's the good thing. I haven't seen any accidents that have come from overdriving or being, taking silly approaches or silly risk. It's all a very good start to the year. So really looking forward to see what he can do. And I genuinely think he has an opportunity to contend for the title in the British Championship as well.
And you mentioned that composure side to him. For them to have to stop in stage 1 in Croatia to change a tire and lose over 2 minutes, but bounce back with setting, 5th and 3rd fastest stage times that day. They did really good stage times on the Friday up until the off on stage 8. Like that certainly shows maturity there. And as you say, like that composure piece, you would imagine something like that at the beginning of a rally when you have all that pressure on you would throw you.
Yeah, I mean, there's often 2 things that comes from it. You have a puncture like that and you lose the time. You then get slightly more angry and there's less pressure on your shoulders that you're just going to go and see what you can achieve and get a faster time. But also you tend to lose the edge of concentration because there isn't so much to fight for. The opportunity of good result is kind of gone overall. So you can then end up making mistakes because you're not working as high as you would have previously. But he, like you say, he dealt very well with the fact to go puncture so early on in the rally, and still set good times and was still very focused and very mentally very positive about the weekend. So like I say, we're very happy with how that's going so far.
And what do you got advantage too for Will in the sense that he is part of the team and he's there alongside Adrian as well as the engineers who've developed that car, to get the experience from Adrian, who drove the Rally 2 last year. It must be great to be at the heart of things and get the knowledge.
Yeah, I think having Adrian there is also a great way to learn, and you've always got someone to ask. But I think there's also a big element of self-learning on that respect as well. And I think only asking for help as and when you need it. But I think it's good to know that he has access to all of the setups that we were running previously and all of the information we had from last year with Adrian, which is helping him to ensure that he has a really good base to begin with for each rally. So, the guys that were here last year did a lot of hard work to make the car as competitive as possible. And I think we're only going to show again that both the Fiesta and the Puma are both competitive cars.
And did the game plan change at all, after Friday for the Saturday and Sunday in Croatia for William?
I mean, I said to him, certainly don't go and do something stupid now and lose mileage. The biggest thing for him is to gain knowledge of the stages, gain knowledge of the events, the WRC, the competition, just, on tarmac rallies, how much information you get in terms of weather, in terms of road changing, in terms how dirty the road gets after the second pass. All that kind of stuff is valuable information to make sure you get. I get it. It's difficult to keep going when you're not in it for the win. But, I think he took that advice on board, and hopefully he used it as a good learning experience.
And then we're looking ahead now to Portugal. What's the plans for Portugal? Something similar?
I would like to say so, yeah. I mean, I think if I said anything different, we'll be doing the job right. So I think it's a case of, trying to get a good pre-event test. Gregoire's just finished 2 days of testing, which went very well. Did over 200 kilometers each day. Adrian tests for the next 2 days, tomorrow and Saturday. So, a really good start in that respect. And then just hope for a good recce. Adrian's got a good road position, I would say. And so is Gregoire, I guess. And, try and recreate where we are. We're not going to try and go win the rally straight out. We just want to be in the mix and see what happens around us. The title fight for the championship is pretty hot. So any mistakes or errors that are made by those guys, we want to be there to capitalize on that as well.
Absolutely. And then with interesting news this week, and I was delighted to see Martin Sesks is getting a run out in the Puma. But interestingly, it'll be a non-hybrid version of the car. So how does that work? Is that just that it's not activated, or do you actually remove it and replace it with ballast?
Yeah, so one of the things that has been a bit more difficult for us as a company is with the hybrid regulations. There's a lot of extra safety requirements on events and national events especially. So we've only managed to run the car in customer hands on few events. So we wanted to find a way to try and get that back to where we used to do it, because we used to sell regularly WRC or Rally 1 cars to privateers, which we've not really been able to do so much. So regulations were amended to allow non-hybrid version, which is effectively the same car, but the hybrid fully removed. So it's not just disconnected, the whole thing's removed. It's replaced with a ballast box effectively. And then we will remove some of the cooling for the hybrid and stuff from the car. The ducts on the side at the rear quarter will be removed, and a flat panel, but the rest of the car will look very similar. It's also an opportunity for a junior driver like Martin's coming in to have an opportunity to try the car without directly being up against the full hybrid competition, because that will be hard to beat, because they're all the top guys that are in the car all the time. But the goal is, and the aim is, that Martins does Poland in the non-hybrid, and then we upgrade it to the hybrid for Latvia for his home event. So it's a project that's been going on between Martins, ourselves, and the WRC promoter, who are helping this to happen. So it's a joint effort to get junior drivers and new drivers into the car. So again, I'm looking forward to seeing how it goes, and I think Martins will definitely have the pace for his home events. It's just controlling that again to get a solid result at the end of it.
And obviously there's talk of changes to the regulations, and part of that was the suggestion or that it may go down the route of removing the hybrid units completely. I suppose there'll be a lot of interested parties looking on at how this works.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, what happens with the technical regulations still isn't fully clear for next year. There's still a lot of meetings going on about that. And I wouldn't say this was done purely because of that potential. This was done before we were even made aware that they wanted to change the technical regulations. This was done to try and improve sales for companies like ourselves. But yeah, it could be a bit of a learning experience, and will be good for people to see the difference between non-hybrid and hybrid. I think I've been clear before on the record that I don't want to see the Rally 1 cars change from the current form we have now. I think, when you look at Croatia and you look after 2 days or after 1 day, Thierry and Elvin were split by 0.1 of a second, identical after an hour and 5 minutes driving, which is incredible in itself. And after 2 days, I think they were split by 6 seconds after 2 hours of driving. So, even if we add more and more cars through other ways of technical regulations, we'll still only be interested in the fight right at the front. And, we may as well have those in the best cars with the best drivers available. So it's great to have this new step for juniors, but I really, really would like to see the Rally 1 cars continue.
William, Liam, thanks a million for joining us. Thought it would be a great opportunity to catch up with you just after Croatia. Went into the event, you had 2 really strong runs in the BRC and obviously West Cork as well. So you got a bit of seat time in the Rally 2 Fiesta. Got into into Croatia. So I mean, how much confidence did that give you going into that event?
It was good. We've crammed quite a lot into a fairly short period of time since starting with M Sport at the start of the year. So that took a lot of effort from everybody to make that happen. In the Motorsport Iron Rally Academy, to just try and plan everything there. So okay, relative to all the other guys that we're up against, our experience is very low, but like I said, what we've done in a very short space of time has been quite impressive. So a lot of work by everybody and the team to have the car at the start line of Rally Nuts, and then on the Monday be in Croatia for our Monday pre-event test. So there's a lot of logistics there that the team have to look after, and a big thanks to them for making that all possible for us.
And Liam, for yourself, there's a lot of work has to go on in the background. Like, Croatia is a huge event. There's an awful lot of road mileage for the limited amount of competitive mileage you do. So, I mean, you don't have a lot of turnaround time there between the BRC round and then getting out to Croatia. So, how was it from your side?
Yeah, it was quite tricky. Obviously, we flew out on the Sunday morning. We travelled down from Wales down to London Saturday night. Flew out on the Sunday morning. In fairness, we had most of Sunday to ourselves to get sort of programmed back into Croatia. It's difficult on the lead up to 2 rallies. Whenever you have 2 rallies in a row like that, you're sort of balancing getting the information for both, which can be quite difficult at times. But we have a great support network around us, as William said, at the Academy, and also Pablo at M Sport, who's our coordinator. And there's other people as well who make that as easy as possible for us. We just have to try and make sure we're there at the right time and have our own preparation done. So yeah, it is difficult when there's 2 back-to-back rallies, but with the people we have around us, it's we're comfortable in doing it.
And the recce, some unexpected weather conditions during that for you?
We tested on Monday there, and it was 26 degrees, and less than 24 hours later, we saw more snow that day than we did in Monte Carlo. So it was really strange. Obviously, the altitude was quite high, so it was forecast. We knew we were going to see snow. Thankfully, it was gone for the rally, so it didn't pose much of a problem. But honestly, it was like a Monte stage up high in the mountains. So yeah, it was weren't expecting coming into it, weren't really expecting it, but when it got to the rally, they told us it was going to be like this.
And William didn't get off to a good start on stage 1, picked up a puncture and had to stop and change.
Yeah, it wasn't ideal. We've looked through the onboards and can't see where we picked the puncture up exactly. It was the outside of the tire wall. It was just nicked. So there's so many cuts in Croatia, and by the time even we get there, the road's quite destroyed. So it's hard to know where we picked it up, and you have to go into all these cuts. You can't get caught out on the outside of the road. So yeah, it was unfortunate, but I suppose the positive was that we changed the wheel quite quickly and got on the move again. Didn't mess around deciding whether to change the wheel or not. We had talked about that before the start of the rally with the team. So that's the positive, and the wheel change went well. So yeah, we had to put that behind us and then set about just trying to get into a nice rhythm for the rest of the day. it was really tricky. Like Liam said about the snow on the recce, it made it difficult so much that with all the cuts, whenever the snow came down, you couldn't actually see what was in the cut, which wasn't so straightforward. And the surface over in Croatia is slippery in the dry, and never mind whenever it's cold or damp or snowy. So Friday was really tricky, but it was what we were doing was good and it was comfortable, and the feeling with the car in those conditions is really nice. And I think that's why the Fiesta is such a good car for Ireland, because it just loves those slippery, tricky conditions. And we saw that in West Cork. But yeah, then to slip off on stage 8 was frustrating. We had done a lot of hard work throughout the day, so to not make it back to service is something we got to learn from, and not let that happen again. But with such a tricky rally, these things are easy to happen, but we just got to make sure that they don't happen.
And it was unfortunate you did have the off, because you'd been setting some really strong stage times. You had a couple of fifths, and then you had a third fastest within the class. So, were you expecting to be on that pace from the get-go?
No, to be honest, not at all. And we weren't going to chase that pace, even whenever it was happening throughout the day. We didn't, try to go looking for something that wasn't there. So yeah, it was a surprise, but I think that it also followed through from Rally Nuts. I never thought that I would be on the speed of, the guys that are regular in those cars on those type of events. And we were from the very start of the rally. So that was a real surprise. So I guess that sort of followed through then into Croatia. So it was a surprise, but a positive surprise.
And Liam, stage 8, kind of more or less the same stage as last year that caught you out.
Yeah, as I said, Belfast will not be back. It was it's not actually the same stage. That we used parts of that road, and had we have got to the last junction, from the last junction to the end is the bit of road where we went off on last year. So it's fair to say it's not our favorite bit of road. It would be fair to say it's not our favorite rally, which I think going forward that might not be a problem, to be honest. So yeah, look, it was unfortunate. It's a bit of gravel on the road, maybe slightly too fast into it. As William said, it's easy to happen, but obviously we need to work on and trying to ensure it doesn't happen on a regular basis. But the positive was on Friday, we were surprised at our times. What we've been trying to do is focus on what we do, not worry about what's going on around us. And so far that's working well. And we're only at the start of our Rally 2 journey, so we're happy with where we are.
And William, I know Saturday morning when we landed out at the first stage, like it was 2 degrees, and there'd also been a lot of talk that Saturday it was rain expected as well. So how difficult was tire choice? As you already said, even in normal conditions, it's slippery tar out there. Is that sort of white granite in the tarmac, and there's not much grip on it. So how much more did I suppose the cold weather and then the threat of rain add to the mix?
Yeah, really difficult. And I think it's trying to get a tire choice that works for the majority of the loop, because there was no way that you were ever going to have the right package that was perfect for every stage. Particularly on Saturday morning, I think every team was expecting rain at some point, and it didn't really ever materialize. And I think the weather out there was also very isolated. There was lots of rain, but it never met the stage at the time that we were there. So it was difficult. On Saturday morning, we actually went for 2 softs, 2 hards, and 2 wets. And to be honest, I think it was the best choice. Okay, we never needed the wets, but in the event that we did, they were there. And when we didn't need them, we were on a good cross, which worked very well. So I think there was a lot of data, from the team to try and decide on what we should go on. And from that, I think we made the best decision. And we were working with a gravel crew for the first time in a WRC event, and that was really good. And the information that we were able to get back from those guys also helps us with the tire call.
And then what was the plan for Saturday? Obviously, you were 2 minutes down, give or take, because of the stopping on the Friday. So what, it was going to be hard to pull out a good overall result in the class. So what were you aiming for then on Saturday?
Yeah, it's difficult coming back with Super Rally, after Friday evening. You never want to make another mistake. So it's difficult, but we just had to start at a level that we were comfortable and just slowly work our way back up again. So that's what my point is from the Friday, last stage of the loop. It's important that we manage that in the future going forward to then get to Saturday morning and be able to pick our stages and set another few good times. So yeah, Saturday was just about trying to build the momentum back up again, which I think we got to at stages. So it's never easy coming back in Super Rally, but it's one of those things, and we got a lot of good experience. It's the Saturday stages were ones again that we were used to from our JWRC days, so we were able to learn a lot.
And Liam, Croatia's there's a lot of work from a co-driver's perspective with regard to the notes and the volume of the notes because of the pollution and that. So what's it like working with the safety crew? How much extra work, is there for you with that piece of catching up from what they have to say from their runs through the stages?
Well, first of all, we're very lucky, with Stephen Whitford and Brian Hoyout, who are two very experienced people at their jobs. So we're very lucky in that regard. I suppose it comes in two areas, the information they're giving you means of to say more on the stage. So that's one area that puts a time constraint on. There's a wee bit of pressure there, obviously. And also you need to make sure that you get the notes often. So I'd be going down a road section, I'd be saying to William, look, of 8K to the next tube here, I'm going to start into these gravel notes. So it's another dimension of what you have to do during the day. Particularly that rally, it's a very difficult rally in terms of mud and pollution, as they call it, on the road. So yeah, it's definitely challenging. But it's good, it tests you, it really challenges you. There's nothing wrong with having to think a wee bit extra, or think outside the box, and even what you're writing on the page in the first pass from the gravel crew might actually have to come out on the second pass. So you need to keep that in mind, and where you're writing it on the page. So there's a lot going on whenever you're working with the routing crew.
And like, how much do those stages change between, the two passes?
Oh, massive. I mean, what happened to us on Friday basically crippled us in terms of road position for the Saturday and the Sunday. Every passing car has an effect. Like, I mean, the difference of 10 cars that we probably lost due to Super Rally, you can translate that into a significant amount of time per kilometre. So it's just the cuts that everyone's taken. And even 10 minutes, the temperature can drop, so it's a massive change between passes.
And then William into Sunday, then what do you call it? Got going fairly well until the power stage, and I think then you had a bent suspension arm. Is that right?
Yeah, to be honest, yeah, we got into a good rhythm and on Sunday, and we're able to set some good stage times again. Going into the power stage, I said to myself, nobody wants to be a hero in the last stage, so we were very nearly that hero, which wasn't the plan. But yeah, we touched a curb on the outside of a hairpin. We actually looked at the corner after the first pass because there was quite a bad lip on the inside, and we didn't want to risk damaging anything. So we said in the notes that we wouldn't drop into that same lip, but in doing so, it meant that I touched the gravel on the outside of the corner and touched a curb. So yeah, it was a bit of a stressful end to the rally, but again, on the positive, we were able to get our hands dirty and fix the car and drive it 80 k's back to service. So yeah, glad to get everything back home in one piece.
And in fairness, you weren't the only ones to suffer on that stage on the Sunday either.
Yeah, it's honestly it's like the art groom stage of Croatia. It's just corner after corner, so narrow, and quite a lot of it in underneath the trees with leaves and mud, so it gets really, really polluted. But it's also a really enjoyable stage to drive whenever you get into a good rhythm. And yeah, I think we saw a lot of the top guys. The rally just fell apart for a lot of boys going into that on Sunday morning. So yeah, tricky one.
And Liam, up next, WRC Portugal on the 9th of May, I think it is. So what's involved now in prepping for that?
Just the usual. We're going through what stages we're using. Have we done anything before? One of them is quite well known, Amarante. I think it's 37 kilometers. Getting a look at that again, getting our head back into what happened the last time through there. We had a real good race with John Armstrong. It was like the race of punctures that day in that stage. We passed him and then he passed us. So yeah, we'll look just back at historical data and get a feel for the roads again. It's always been a challenge with punctures, Portugal. The first day there's no service. There's tire fitting zone halfway through, and the Friday stages are always hard on the tires. So just normal approach, get our homework done, and hopefully get off to a good start in Portugal.
And William, I think you've been there once before in the Rally 3 Fiesta. So you've had one gravel event under the belt now in the Rally 2 car. You know, what's the feeling getting into Portugal? Will you have time for a pre-event test?
Yeah, we've done Portugal, I think, twice, once in the front wheel drive car as well. So, and it's a rally that I've always enjoyed and look forward to. Just for the characteristic of it, it's okay, it's rough, and if you can get through that first day, the rally gets a little bit better from then on. So, that's important and something to bear in mind. So yeah, we get a pre-event test on the Monday with M Sport again, which we had a great test in Croatia. We had a really good test road, and we were able to learn a lot and then have a really good setup for the rally. So we'll try and do similar again. Hopefully that all goes well. But yeah, like I said, it's a rally that anytime that I've done it, I've really looked forward to it, which is always a nice mindset to approach an event with. So yeah, it's not long coming around now. We'll be leaving in just over a week.
And just to wrap it up, obviously you're part of the M Sport team along with Adrian Formo, and Adrian spent a lot of time developing that car last year. So have you had the opportunity to sit down and get some advice, hints, tips from Adrian, what his view on the car is?
Yeah, I'm trying to pick his brains at every opportunity that I can get, and not just Adrian, but everyone in the team is very welcoming and sharing all the information. We've got everything that is open to the team, they share with us. So yeah, Adrian's been very helpful, and I think showing what he's doing in the Rally 1 car now is really good. And the season that he had last year is effectively what we're doing this year, WRC2 with the BRC. So it's done him very well. So hopefully it can have a good impact on us as well. But yeah, look, you have to pinch yourself at times as well. We're sitting in there with the M Sport Works team, with the two Rally 1 cars sitting beside you. So we're very lucky, and we've had a good run. Okay, Croatia was difficult, but we want to just keep working on that momentum. And I think already from the start of the year, stepping into the Rally 2 car, we've made some really good improvements, and generally it's been very comfortable. So we just want to keep focusing on what we're doing and trying to keep improving that.
Yeah, listen, Portugal, next stop for William and Liam, and really excited to see how they get on, and proper test of them now on the rough and gravel roads of Portugal. So, Kevin, whilst I was away in Croatia, you were following the Burr Rally.
Yeah, I was only following it online, but that was an absolutely cracking rally. Sam and Josh had their own battle at the front, and they just were at it. Like Sam just wasn't feeling it in the morning, but then once he got the car sort of to his liking, then they just, it was fascinating battle. Like, if you looked at the timesheets, you think Josh is an easy one, but it was far from it. And Sam nipped them and got the bonus point for the power stage one as well too. So yeah, I would say there was an interesting conversation between them two. And then David Kelly took a fantastic third. Like, David is really, matured, I think, an awful lot as a driver this year. And then, like, there was so many R5s there battling. I couldn't even start to name because I would start forgetting people. Like there was probably 6 or 7 R5s there just come in, and they were all within maybe there was maybe 2 of them within a second of each other, maybe 3 of them sometimes within a second. And it was a real brilliant battle. It was real ding dong. There was a few switches on the leaderboard and one thing and another, and it just get better and better. And then the 2-wheel drive, Kevin Gallagher Egg then took the 2-wheel drive one and didn't have it all his own way. Chris O'Callaghan put it up to him there as well too, which is Chris has only been, I think that's his second rally out this year too. So brilliant there too. So that was a real good battle. And then Rally 4, it was bonkers. Like after 6 stages, I think there was like something like 0.3 of a second between the top 3. At the finish, I think it was 2.3 seconds covered first and second, and then Tommy Moffat, I think he run wider at a half spin or something. Like he was back within 12 or 13 seconds of second. So like it was brilliant, real brilliant battles just right throughout the whole field. So after the event, I got a chance to speak to David Kelly, and then also John O'Connor and Ruthann. John Warren and Ruthann. They had hired the IN Sport Fiesta R5, and just their reaction at the end of the stages, it was just brilliant. So I wanted to find out a wee bit more about what their experience was like, and that's really good. It's really interesting just to get their perspective on it. And then from that Rally 4 battle, I caught up with Gareth Deazley and Oisin Joyce. They were the guys that won the battle there too. So first of all, we'll hear from David Kelly. David Kelly, you had a fantastic run in Burr there at the weekend, and you made the switch to the polo at the start of the year. And like, in fairness, so far so good.
Yeah. No, look, Kevin, it was good at the weekend. We definitely felt comfortable, and the weather was great, and the stages were great. But I suppose, in a whole, the polo's kind of working for us so far. Kind of feeling comfortable with 2, I suppose, what you could call very tricky rallies there at the beginning of the year with Galway and West Cork. The conditions were definitely tricky. Now the weekend wasn't so tricky, like, but the stages were very fast, and look, we're definitely getting used to the car, and there's plenty more to come with the car, and look, we're just going to keep building on it. That's the plan.
Because I suppose Saturday was the first time you had the run and anger in the car in a proper good dry stage.
Yeah, no, definitely it was. We didn't even really get a proper test in the car in the dry. I suppose we got a bit of dry down in West Cork, but suppose it was kind of different. It was a bit mucky, and it was changeable enough conditions and that. But no, definitely Saturday was good. We tried a few different things. We tried different tires. We tried different setups, and with 3 loops, it was great to do things back to back, and you could feel the difference. You could see what worked. So no, we definitely made progress the weekend, and suppose on top of them, we had a good result.
Yeah, and Burr, listening to the drivers coming off at the end of the stages, they said, especially that second stage over the mountain, that was as good a stage as you'll get anywhere in the country. It had a bit of everything in, fast, technical, fast and medium speed corners. I think if you could be fast there, you can be fast almost anywhere.
Yeah, look, that was a serious stage. It was as good a stage as you're going to get, as you said, there anywhere in the country. 14 kilometers, just pure driving, and it wasn't just from the driver. It took a massive part from the navigator too. You couldn't drive that stage without your navigator being right on top of his game as well. So it was serious. It was everything from the recce down to the rally there was massively important for that stage. It was just so technical, but as you said, it was great. It had a bit of everything in it, high speed, and there was a lot of technical stuff in it, and crests after corners, and corners after crests, and different things that would have caught you out very easily if you weren't on top of your game.
Yeah, and that come off that, and I don't know if anybody hasn't looked at the stage end reports from Mandy and Killian, the buzz that was about at the stage ends, because there was guys matching each other to tenths of seconds. 1 second could have covered 3-4 guys. That's fantastic racing.
Yeah, no, it was great. When we suppose the second service of the day, we were heading out with 3rd place, and there was only just over 2 seconds back to 6th. So it was anyone's rally really at that point, and suppose everyone had raced all day, and it was great. Suppose, and just really gives you that bit between your teeth going back out in the afternoon. Just really try hard, give you something to race for.
Aye, and does that change your mindset? Do you, they often talk about, pulling the belts that wee bit tighter and leaving the braking that wee bit later. Does that actually translate into the car?
Oh yeah, definitely. Look, suppose the weekend when I was had the opportunity to maybe race for a result, I've always been maybe there in the 5th and 6th and 7th and stuff. But when I got the opportunity, supposed to race for that, it definitely gave me, that extra drive, and even just gives you a bit more of a kind of atmosphere in the car to really push that bit harder, and look, it's just it was good. It definitely does translate back into the car and back into your driving. You just put your neck out there a wee bit further,
Mm-hmm. And to have the likes of Sam and Joyce there as well too, they are the benchmark. They have been at the top of their game now for 10 years probably at this stage. So to be close to them, that must also give you great confidence. Heading into the summer rally, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it was good. Look, them lads are pushing very hard. They're exceptional drivers, and they're really top of their game there. So now, as you said, there to be fit to kind of be thereabouts, I suppose, within a couple of seconds in the stage, maybe a second and a half, a kilometre, whatever off them. That's kind of where I would break it down to myself, like. So look, I'm happy enough, but definitely there's they're definitely superb drivers, like. So there's a lot of work to be done from our end to get to that point, but that's kind of what we're aiming, just to keep pushing and chipping away to get there.
Because, like, you know, they have that 10 years of experience. This is your, third season in an R5 Rally 2 car. Like, there's a lot more building to do.
Oh no, there is, yeah. And I suppose, look, we've got this new car this year now, and as I said, we got through them 2 tricky rallies, and so I think that was probably maybe the most difficult part, was just to get through them rallies and maybe have a fairly solid result in the championship, and maybe no damage done in building confidence. And now I suppose we missed the circuit, and that was the idea going to Burr. Now it was before we head to Killarney. You know, Killarney's going to be seriously competitive, and I suppose we want to be just, you know, thereabouts to be fit to race the guys there. Like, you're going to have loads of guys there, Johnny Greer and all them guys, all going to be there. Like, so there's going to be a massive top 10 there, and I suppose that's where the race will be. You'll be in the top 10 there in Killarney, and so that was the idea of going to Burr, and suppose what we feel good now after it. And as we said, we've got a bit of a setup for the dry, and we know where the car is at in the wet. So I think we're definitely making progress with the car.
Yeah, and, like, you know, I suppose where I'm going with this one then is, like, you have now the dry setup, you have the wet setup, and you have the guys behind you, you know, Neil and that team. Like, they're turning you out like an exceptionally reliable car. You have very few mechanical issues really with the car over the years.
Yeah, you know, the car is perfect. In fairness to Neil there, like, the car will be turned out like pristine every rally. There's no chance taken with it, and we get a test for the rally, and there's no issue there. And suppose, as you said, with the team there, like, I have a great team there. You know, the guys, everything from the guys looking at the car to the guys doing the gravel crew, and they report back on the tyres, and suppose it's, you know, Dean was in with me there for the last 3 years. Me and him put a lot of work into it, and wrecking, and we do a lot of work behind the scenes to try to make things better. Arthur jumped in at the weekend there and, you know, put his best foot forward. And so it's not just about driving the car, it's really about the team that you have behind you. And because I feel we do have a good team this year, and we've had for the last couple of years, but it's all just starting to come together now with everything. It's all starting to fall into place for us.
Because you need all them people behind you, you know, because, like, when you get into the car, you just want to be worried about driving. You don't need any of the other, you know, background noise as such. You just need to be concentrating on the notes that's coming through to your ears at that time.
Yeah, 100%, and that's the big one. And suppose that team that I've just said there, like, you know, the guys there, they're A1 at that. Like, just it's about just doing the rally, and whatever needs to be done gets done, and there's no issue about it. No job too big, no job too small. Everyone gets stuck in with their shoulder to the wheel.
And, like, you mentioned Dean there, like, Dean's been with you now, and, like, no more, like, he's probably a great crack and all that, but if there's a job to be done, he's very professional about it, the way he approaches it as well.
Oh, 100%. Look, the effort the team was in behind the scenes and before the rallies and prepping. I suppose, look, I be kind of working down to the wire with work and stuff to try to get away to the rallies, but no, in fairness, Dean only for him. Like, I could get into the car, maybe to head to the wrecking. Wouldn't even know what county we're going to be honest. Like, behind the scenes, like, everything up until the rally, and keeps me right, you know, and the amount of work he puts in. It's definitely, like, well appreciated, like.
And then, you mentioned Arthur Cairns there, like a man that can step into any, and along with any driver anywhere in the country or beyond, and just, it seems to have that aura about him. He relaxes everybody near him, and he's just such a professional.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I was heading down there at the weekend, and obviously the national wasn't really part of our plan this year. It was always international, and Dean was signed up to go to the national with Mickey. So look, Dean has had that commitment made. So I just called on Arthur to see what he said, and kind of thought was going down, thinking, oh well, look, it'll take a stage now for me and Arthur to gel. And to be honest, after the first kilometre, the first stage, it was like it wasn't even like a new navigator. It was there, it worked, and there was no issue. Like, it was everything was 100%.
And you mentioned earlier as well too, you found that that the national good, the 3 stages repeated, like, it give you, you're able to make wee tweaks and see whether they worked and didn't work. Could you see yourself maybe doing another round or two of the national?
Yeah, potentially. I will go. Plan is now we'll head for West Cork, or sorry, Killarney. Head for Killarney, and then we'll try to get one fit in between maybe Killarney and Donegal if possible. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But then after Donegal, and we'll probably reevaluate, and we'll maybe look about hitting a few of them rallies in the summer.
And like you mentioned Killarney there, like, it's coming down, and like it's like, look, on the Epic, going by all the reports, they're touching on all the classics this year.
Yeah, definitely. Look, I kind of briefly had a chat with Dean actually last week about it. I don't think we would have done some of them stages. I think we're heading down to Calcutta on the Saturday for the service and stuff. So I believe the stage is going to be down that direction. we probably wouldn't have done them stages too much. But look, it'll be great, like in the classic stages down there, and I'm sure the rally will be superb. Like, you know, the stages down there are always great. Like.
So, John and Ruthann made their debut in the R5 Fiesta in Birr. John, you talked about when you were being interviewed with Andy and Killian, it was a bucket list, this was something you had to do. Was it all you thought it was going to be?
Ah, it was. Look, it's something, it's always just been there in the back of my mind. You know, I'd love to drive one of those cars, but something I never really thought would happen. You know, it's just something you dream about and say, yeah, someday. But just through everything, it just came about, like talking with the guys here, the sponsors and the guys who work for it, Miguel, just kind of came together. Well, the idea was floated and it just kind of happened. And look, it was just 10 times more phenomenal than I could have imagined. You know, I always knew that these cars would be good to drive, but I wasn't prepared for just the thrill of it all. My jaw is still sore from smiling at that yesterday. It was absolutely unreal now. Like everybody talks about the braking. Actually, that wasn't much of a surprise because I was kind of expecting that. You know, everybody says about how good these cars are on the brakes. So it's phenomenal, but it wasn't a surprise. But what surprised me just was how much speed you could carry around the medium corners. You know, it's just like we still haven't found the limit. You know, there was a few places there where there was a good wide open stretch of road and there was room to have a slide in that, and we just throw it in and the thing just goes around. You know, it doesn't even look like it's not going to go around the corner. So yeah, we'd want a few more events now to really learn the limits.
That's for sure. And Ruthann, like whenever he announced that, I'm thinking about running this Fiesta for the event, was it like, oh no, what we're getting ourselves in for here, or was it, let's do this?
There was a little bit of oh no, because I love modified and it nearly feels wrong to leave modified. It's just like this. Even online there was quite a bit of like, oh no, don't go from the cam and everything. And it's, the green machine, it's a pretty popular site on the stages. But then I kind of thought, wow, like, is this actually going to happen? And I didn't tell anybody anything until probably the past few days before the event, when you're absolutely certain it's actually real. And yeah, it just, as he says, it was a bucket list kind of a thing, and just you don't believe it's definitely going to happen until you're actually, I'd say, until you're sitting in the car on Sunday morning.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I've never been so pumped up for an event in all my life. You know, we've probably, I don't know what, maybe 50 rallies done in the last 10 years or so. All just the two of us, same car, and we've never had any changes. And I won't say it's become mundane, but you know what to expect. You get comfortable in the car, but this definitely just put a completely new level of an age into it. Joe, it was I didn't sleep for about 3 days leading up to it. I was so excited.
And you do a lot of the prep, or all the prep more or less, on the Corolla. Like, how difficult was that to actually hand over control to somebody else?
That was actually the best thing about renting a Fiesta. But I didn't have a single late night in the workshop. I actually haven't even watched the car since Monaghan. I backed it into the workshop and I've closed the doors in the workshop and I haven't been in there in 2 weeks. And it was actually nice for a change. But yeah, look, I suppose when it came to the service end of things, I felt a bit lost. I'm used to, I know my own car inside out, and I have my head stuck in everywhere, and I'm checking that bolt and I'm checking everything. But I didn't know the Fiesta. I didn't know what to do. I was a bit useless. So they sent me to the truck just to get me out of the way. So.
Get them food to get rid of them. He didn't know what to do because he never usually is the chance to eat. He's so obsessed with just checking everything on the Corolla that he doesn't actually relax at all in the day. So yeah, he didn't know what to do with himself.
Oh, look, it was good. It was good for a change, not to have to worry about it.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd like to continue that way forevermore. It's nice to be hands-on and involved in it and to know the car inside out. When things start to go wrong, that's when it gets very useful. When you know your car inside out.
You know what to do if there's a wee issue between stages or whatever. And Ruthann, for yourselves then as well, like Niall and Isaac there at IN Sport, like those guys, they've only been going just over a year now, but their approach is so professional. Like, to see the way they turn out the service area, their vans, their mechanics, this team means business.
Oh, absolutely. World spec is what I would have called them. Couldn't believe it. Like, we bring the car ourselves and put it through scrutiny ourselves, where absolutely every element, it's a logistical nightmare, and we're usually rushing through a recce and conscious of the scrutiny time and getting back in. And I mean, in this case, the guys text John, I think Niall texted him and said, right, scrutiny done, relax yourselves, take care of everything. We hadn't even seen the car in the wrap or anything at that point. So we were very eager to come in to scrutiny and into Park Ferme to see it. But yeah, they had absolutely everything done and come into service there and food ready, prepared, and just absolutely incredible team. Like the second we came in each time into service, there was, I'd say, what was there, about 5 of their guys straight away around the car, and they opened the doors for us. It was just, it's like, what is going on here? And really spoiled.
You're
No,
please.
but no, just, you know, that it's that little bit extra. Absolutely incredible team. Yeah, fantastic.
And they give you a car, John, that you're able to step into and go fast. Like you didn't have to, you know, you weren't worrying about it, or, you know, is the setup right in this? Everything just worked.
Absolutely, yeah. Look, we did a little bit of a test. We did about 30 kilometers on the Tuesday evening beforehand, and we did a few little tweaks to the suspension, just, you know, to settle it a bit more on the bumps. And we made a few tweaks as the day went on as well, which definitely made things better. You know, some of the choppy bumps and that just made it a little bit more settled. But yeah, look, the thing is a dream. The thing handles exceptionally well. So it was just a very easy car to drive, is what I found, Joe. It just amazed me. It was so comfortable. Everything you're sitting nice and snug, and just very easy motion. You know, really the quick rack, everything. It's just such a simple car to drive. So I'd never driven a 4-wheel drive car before. Well, not in anger, we'll say, but yeah, it just amazed me just how controllable it was. So my biggest problem is the junctions. I need to start practicing that, just to nipping the handbrake. I overdid it a few times and kind of half speeds and things, but look, it's all part of the learning curve. So.
And then the inquisitive engineer in you, did you start nosing about to see, you know, how this works, how that's connected to that, and, you know, how does this work? Why is it such a way, or whatever? Did that come out as the day went on as well?
I did as much as I could, yeah, but didn't have a lot of time, to be honest. It was a busy day on Sunday, so I'd love to bring it home for a week and just take it apart and put it back together again.
I know the word, but Niall there.
But like, you know, this like was a taster of what, you know, you were like the times you were setting were top 15 times right from the get go, and you look at Joyce and Sam up the road. Can you see why they are 10, 15 seconds a stage quicker? Can you see it in your head where you're losing that time?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Now, I don't know about Josh and Sam. That's another level completely, but definitely I can see even the third stage there, yesterday, even stage 9. I can easily see, you know, where there was probably 15 seconds in it, 10 to 15 seconds in it, because we were quite comfortable. You know, I was actually very surprised where we, after stage 1, where we were. I kind of had in my head, if we were anywhere close to where we would be in the Corolla, I'd be reasonably happy. But we were a decent bit ahead of that. So no, it's easy to see. You know, I can see plain as day where I'm just not carrying enough speed. You know, I'm braking too early and I'm not carrying enough speed. And I knew it. I knew it when I was driving yesterday, but I was still, you know, first day out, I'm just not going to try and find the limits for the first day. You know, so I kind of, after the first stage, I made up my mind I was going to do it a second time. I said, we're definitely going again. This isn't going to be a one time. So, but look, if the next day out, wherever that is, I think it definitely, I'm not saying I'd be able to find the 15 seconds of stage the next day out, but I know it's there. It's there to push on a little bit. But.
And like, you know, I was probably as big a skeptic as anybody from, you know, we went down the R5 route here in Ireland, but like, look at something like yesterday, and like it's a no-brainer why we're doing it now. Like cars coming off the stage yesterday, matching each other to tenths of seconds. Like there was cars, you know, maybe 3 or 4 cars covered by 1 second. It is absolutely fantastic racing, and to be in the middle of that, involved in that, and comparing your times to those guys. Like you were matching and beating guys who have done, you know, maybe a season in the R5 car.
Yeah, look, it's I don't know. It's sorry, no, lost my train of thought.
Yeah, no, it was surprising because we came. I suppose it's the total unknown, right? We'd done a bit of a test, but it was kind of, you know, up the road 2 kilometers out, check a few things. How did that feel? And you're still kind of like, for the test, I put in car in for the test just to get our first reaction, and the two of us were just like, whoa, you know, it's just great. It feels so different to the twin cam. And we were just blown away. And we just kept going, whoa, jeez, whoa, like the whole way down, kind of shocked. And yeah, you're kind of wondering, okay, can it definitely carry that speed through this like kind of kinks, you know, that it's something that you'd never do in the twin cam. It feels so different. And to me as well, like I was feeling the gear changes are kind of hitting you in the chest. That is a very different thing. But yeah, we went out to stage one and we were kind of like, look, you know, just ease into it, or that's what I was telling them. And going to get the mad, like, because there's a lot as well. There's 5 or 6 steps there to the empty leg, the launch at the start. So there's a lot going on that we don't have in the twin cam, where you're almost kind of sitting there on the start line in the twin cam and you're looking around like oh, look at that timekeeper over there that gives them a wave or whatever. It's kind of you're relaxed hitting the stage, but we had a lot going on.
It kind of blew my mind a little bit. We were a little bit overwhelmed for the first thing. You're sitting on the line and 10 seconds go. I said you right, press the anti-lag button and then you press the launch control button, first gear, then you floor it 5 seconds to go, and then you let everything go when the lights go green, and you just get this sudden rush off the line. You get pushed back into the seat. And actually, what I found every time I went off the line, and it just kind of blew my mind in that instant, I actually defaulted back into twin cam mode, and I was going for the paddle shifts, and there's no paddle shift for us. And just had to think, okay, right, wrong car. Just get your head back into the space again. But a few times, I suppose, when you do maybe have a little bit of a moment or something, I just keep defaulting back to the twin cam mode. It's even the gear, like several times during the day I went for 6 gear and no 6 gear. Little things like that. But then when you're 50 rallies done in the
that's
same,
exactly, you know, it's your first time in the Fiesta. It's like you change your road car. And suddenly, you know, the indicators move from one side to the other side of the stock. You keep doing it for, you know, the first few weeks, and then it becomes, if you go back into your old car, you go back to the new way of doing it, wouldn't you? Like, so.
The only thing that caught me out really was the width of the car as well. I'd say it's about a full wheel width, or probably 6 inches wider than the twin cam. And it's actually in stage one we had a small bit of a wobble just for a fast high speed corner, and I was keeping out to get the line and just put a wheel on the gravel. You didn't think it was on the gravel, and then touched the brakes and did a little bit of squirm, and that kind of frightened me a little bit.
Yeah, I didn't even notice that. So
yeah,
I think I was so overwhelmed. I was just trying to get the notes out quick enough that I didn't even.
And Ruthann, I suppose that as you know, do you have to change your style for that as well as change the driving style? Is the delivery of the notes that much more, the pace increased as well?
Yeah, it appears to have. I think it's that the corners are coming a lot quicker. You're getting a gap. Okay, the straights, it's much the same thing, you know, a straight and a square or whatever. But the corners, he's getting through sequences of corners that at such a rate that
the medium corners,
that it was a completely different thing. That we figured that, but just had no idea what to do. So for the first 5 stages, I really genuinely did not look up, and that's fine for me in the twin cam. I know the feeling of every single corner. I don't need to look up. I know what a 3 left feels like versus a 4 right or whatever. You just know the feeling. But I wouldn't know in the Fiesta until I'd have a couple of events done. But it was I found I was just really working hard to make sure he was getting the notes on time, because he was pushing. From my perspective, it felt he was pushing quite hard. Now, I was looking over at him and he's here with a big smile on his face. And he really was relaxed and comfortable. He was just, he'd laugh or make a giggle.
We were giggling the whole way through.
Yeah, well, you were.
Just a few corners, you'd really lean into it.
Yeah.
I just laughed. Like, this thing is cool.
Yeah, I hadn't time to laugh, but you were. But yeah, kind of the last 3 stages, I'd say I felt comfortable enough to, okay, the pacing is good here. Nothing has gone wrong so far, so I can actually look up occasionally and see what's going on out there.
And probably in the Fiesta, you'll be probably sitting that lower. You probably don't have as much vision either when you look up either. And that can be. I've heard before that can be quite daunting as well too, because you can't see the road the same as what you see in a modified car too.
No, absolutely not. Yeah, it is low, and like I can't see the bonnet at all or anything like that. It's just
I can't see the bonnet either.
You can't, yeah. You don't need to.
You're sitting so far back. It's actually the chicanes were kind of hard to gauge as well. Like, you just don't really know where everything is in front of you. So you probably have to hit a few things before you realise where everything is actually.
I'm not watching.
Yeah.
And I suppose we should make a special mention, the motor club. Like, it seemed to be an absolutely cracking event. Like, run very much on time. The stages, all the crews coming off at the end, saying about how good the stage was. That second stage, the world class, so.
It really is world class, yeah. That second stage is, I'd say, one of the best stages in the country. There's absolutely everything in it, because it starts out like a normal, it's a fast stage, and then you get into this technical section in across the mountain, and it's everything. Like,
I was glad that they had that little short stage before, just to warm up, because I would not like to be going into my first stage in an R5 into that second one up across the mountain. That was an area, but top class. In fairness, a brilliant event. Absolutely, is 10 out of 10.
Yeah,
couldn't criticize it.
And they got the sunshine as well too, which was even better.
Definitely. It wouldn't have been nice now to head out on a washout of a day in a new car for the first time like that. It'd be quite scary. Even though we're told they're fantastic in wet conditions and shiny tar and all that, but still, it was lovely just to get bone dry, good abrasive tar, and made all the difference.
Yeah, and we made mention to Niall and Isaac and all the guys too. Like, this is like a team effort. Like, your rallying's very much, Team McHale and all that. To see it from a different perspective, is there things that you can carry now back to the Corolla, and you think maybe we can try that? Maybe this will work for us as well.
Don't know. Could get somebody to do the full preparation work for me.
Try. Never hand it over though. No. He's built that thing from scratch. It's his baby. He loves. Even though he complains about it sometimes, he absolutely loves spending hours in the garage.
Do I?
I think you do.
Maybe you just want to get rid of me out of the house. Maybe the feeling is mutual.
Fight in the garage, I think.
And you said this is the beginning of something. Could you see yourself maybe looking at either maybe rather than hiring, maybe getting an R5 that you can tinker a wee bit with, or do you think that you prefer that you can arrive and drive?
I don't know. I don't know. I would consider it, but I'd have to sell the twin cam, and I don't want to sell the twin cam. No, I wouldn't. No way.
No.
I don't know. Like, look, it's early days. Look, we've only done one event. We'll do another one. See what happens and go play it by ear. We never really plan any more than one event ahead anyway. Any year, even in the twin cam, we do one, and then we see what state things are in, and then we just go again. I've never had an entry in for more than one rally at one time. We never worked that far ahead.
But the twin cam is iconic. You could show it to somebody in Donegal, you could show it to somebody in Kerry or wherever. They know who you are. Like, it must be nice to have that kind of iconic car that like most rally fans will be able to. You show them that, they'll know who you are.
Yeah, actually, even just look online. I think when you mentioned we're going out in this Fiesta, there's a lot of people that, oh no,
a lot.
I hope you haven't sold the twin cam. So probably from a spectator point of view and a fan point of view, I'd say the twin cam is definitely a bigger hit. It definitely is a bigger hit. But from my point of view right now, from a driver's point of view, definitely the Fiesta is well up there, well ahead of the twin cam. But look, maybe it's just a change is as good as anything. It's just a new experience. Maybe if we do another one event in this and say, right, that's enough, back to the twin cam. So
because Gary Kieran, is one from the class 14 escort, and he says, yes, it's fantastic and the high speed stuff, but you don't get that, real hit in your stomach every time you put the foot down. There's power, yes, definitely, but it's not, sort of put your heart out. He says like the 2.5 or the modified car, it's the noise, it's the more kind of basic grunt of them.
Yeah, well, I suppose he was coming from a higher level, from a class 14, from a 2.5, whereas I've never driven a 2.5, so I don't know what that feeling is like, and I can only imagine that would be a pretty impressive step up as well. You're probably looking at 80 horsepower more than what I have in the twin cam. I'm 275 in the 2 litre, so I think some of these 2.5s now are hitting 350 and 350 plus, so. So that would be, and look, that's something that's on the bucket list as well. So you never know. We might do that one the next year.
Probably a monster rentus, a 2.5 at a good rate. Talk to me. And we kind of said this year we'd try and do some of these bucket list things that just we're just to mix it up a bit. We're so long in the same car doing the same combination, the same everything, and I think that's why he's getting a lot of joy out of it too. That it's just something different. It's a real challenge. Like you're learning something new, and even for me, I was working really hard yesterday to just ensure he was getting good delivery of notes all the time, because I kind of had that fear that something would creep up on me too quick, or because they were definitely coming a lot quicker at you, and you have that, and not knowing the feeling of them. But it worked out. But I suppose, the first 5 stages, it was just like, is this definitely going okay? I was asking him at the end, like, right, are you happy with that? And kind of concerned about that. But the last 3, then it did begin to click, that you could actually really appreciate it.
Becomes more automatic, comes more normal, almost kind of thing.
Exactly. I suppose it's just familiarity, like, but definitely, I never saw that man in a long time to smile that much.
So, John, the bucket it's not empty yet. So there's more adventures to be had.
Sounds like it. Yeah. We'll have to see what the bank manager says. Maybe that's the biggest problem.
So the form men in the Rally 2 class this year, so far in the national championship, has been Gareth and Oisin. Gareth, fantastic 2 results there, Monaghan and in Burr. You took the class, but it hasn't been easy.
No, definitely not. I don't think Class 2 will ever be easy. I suppose just with the close competition and everybody, I suppose, on similar playing fields, it's really down to the driver and the navigator, and have a good recce and go from that, like we have never, and I don't think anybody can walk away with that class. There's always, at the start of the event, you're always saying there's 6 or 7 people can win the class. So you never underestimate anybody. And, the weekend in Burr proved it, and the weekend before in the forestry, the other lads proved it. It just seems to be the go-to class at the minute.
Yeah, and you have Peugeots, you have Fiestas, and maybe one stage will suit a Peugeot and one stage will suit a Fiesta, but over the period of a rally, there's nothing between you at all.
No, we'll go back to the weekend again. That proved that there was nothing between the Peugeots and the Fiestas. You're talking a handful of seconds at the end of the day between 3 or 4 people. It just shows you that the 2 cars are basically on a level playing field.
Mm-hmm. And Oisin, from your point of view, Gareth mentioned, a good recce. Even before you get to the recce, are you looking at the DVD, seeing, and trying to figure out to make the recce as simple as possible?
Yeah, so me and Gareth will watch the DVD as much as possible. I'll watch it with the notes, and we'll talk about it before the event to try and see where we can even make time watching the DVD alone, and then we'll have a better idea of it then on the recce itself. So having a good assessment of the stages before you go even into your recce, I think, is crucial in order to get sort of not even a head start, but get as much of a lead on your competitors as possible. So yeah, preparation is everything.
Yeah, what is it they say? I feel to prepare to feel. And if you're putting in the preparation and the hard work before you get there, it makes things so much easier on the day.
Oh, absolutely, fully agree. And then it just makes everything on the stage simple. You just have one job to do, and you do that job to the best of your capability, and it just makes the day a lot easier then.
And Gareth, we've seen what you used to be able to do in the Northern Ireland Championship and all, and the Fiesta. That was a R2 car or R200 car, which was the results you were getting out of it. Not the right way of saying it, but you should never have been getting what you were getting. You were pushing it way up the leaderboard. It was a fantastic wee car, but this is another level again.
Yeah, I suppose the turbo was the biggest thing. I would see the difference in the Rally 4 and the R200. The R200 was screaming its head off all the time. And then you would notice in down around tight stuff and up hills that it would struggle. But them Rally 4s with the turbos in them, they just keep pulling. They pull like a train. You take off in second gear and it pulls right through. They're such a great wee car. And you can see why they're so popular.
Mm-hmm. And do you have to adjust your driving style because of, suddenly you have power all the time compared to the R200?
Yeah, but you can't get caught out in them and tighter stuff. And I suppose at the weekend I was I done that in the chicane. I just was on the power too early and nudged the bail, but that's the difference, You have to remember you have the turbo and you have to use the turbo, whereas in the other car you didn't. You were going around to 9,000 revs, whereas you don't need to do that in the turbo car. So it takes a wee while to adapt to that driving style and not hearing the car that much.
Yeah, and Oisin, from your point of view too, then Sunday morning comes, is there a conversation, what way we're going to attack this, or is it right? We know what we have to do. We don't need to dissect this. We're here to do a job. Let's get it done.
I think at this stage, because the competition is so tight, it's just right. We know what we have to do. We better concentrate and do it. I think our main conversation every morning is tires and who's going to be on it. And it's normally, like Gareth said, there probably 4 or 5, 6 different people that we're up against, and you don't know who's going to be on form on the day, so you have to be on your A game from the outset. The one day nationals are they are sprints from start to finish, so you have to be on the pace from the get go.
I think you get the green light on the first stage, you cannot afford to run wide, have a half spin, a bad tire choice. You may forget about it almost.
Yeah, you nearly would. The margins are so fine now. You nearly have to have a flawless run in order to get maximum points. But yeah, it's a really difficult class to do well in, but it's really enjoyable when we pull it off.
Yeah, I Gareth, difficult, but I would say rewarding too, because whenever you have to pull the belts that wee bit tighter and break that wee bit later, it must give you great satisfaction to get to the end of a stage and go, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, without a doubt. When you know you've come off a stage and you know inside that you've had a good run, it's definitely rewarding. But you also come off a stage thinking sometimes you've done well, and then somebody's still taking time out of you, and then you get a bit deflated after that, But no, all in all, it is. You do get a good, I suppose you get a good buzz out of it. And personally, I would be on the buzz then the rest of that evening and into the night. You come home and maybe not sleep. Like the weekend there, you would drive 3 hours back up home, and then you go into your bed thinking, "Oh, I'm wrecked." But no, it's a different story. You're still thinking about that you would push too hard, or at the weekend in Glendine out over the mountain and that gravelly section, it was just pull another gear and keep your toe on it, and hopefully it stays on the road. I think Oisin had said there, one of the notes was a three left through the junction, and a 3 you're down third, fourth gear maybe, but we were pulling fifth on it just to try and get that extra bit out of it.
But that, whenever that works and whenever it clicks and you come out of that corner, there has to be great satisfaction. You're not going to do it every corner, but there's going to be some corners you think, I'll give it a go here.
Yeah, because we finished that stage, and as we made our way to the passage control, we both said it felt good. Personally, there was nothing erratic on that stage. It was a full 10-10, but we were never in the ditch or close to it. It was well enough controlled that way, but we knew we had a good clean stage, and we could never get a clean stage 3, 6, or 9 that day until we got to stage 9. And then, as I say, there was only a couple of seconds at the end of but I think if you watch Andy's live video at the end of it, we just pull away and you can hear us roaring and shouting in the car. I think sums it up really.
And Oisin, we've spoke to other co-drivers about this before. You can tell through the seat of your pants as well if it's a good stage or not. You can tell if the thing's flowing well too.
Yeah, absolutely. So the way I describe it to everybody is it's like playing music. So I grew up sort of playing music, and I said it to Mum on the phone actually on the way home. It was everything is in time when everything clicks and you don't have to think about it, and the driver just reacts to the note. And it's at that stage 9, like Gareth was saying, we were struggling on that stage the previous 2 runs, and it was the one stage where we lost most of our time. But the last run through, we had no other option but to go as hard as we could, and everything just clicked, and we pulled it off. It was perfect. Like, it's one of the most satisfying feelings on the planet when that happens.
Yeah, that because I was looking at the times now. I know, Gareth, you had your issues in stage 6, but going into service after stage 6, like 1.1 seconds covering the top 3, like that's even more closer than the guys at the top of the field. Like that, you're heading out a service thinking, right, with 1.1 seconds between first and third here, I can't afford to make a mistake.
No, like we left service, and I suppose we actually were given a wrong time, which meant that we didn't actually know. We were trying to calculate it out in service what our lead was, and I said to Rachel there, and I said to Oisin, Trevor, I said, look, we just have to go out as it's all square, and we'll do what we can as if we were going out on the first stage, and that's exactly what we done. I think like we had a good stage 7 and a good stage 8, and then obviously we topped it in 9 with.
Mm-hmm. And like even you felt you drove the perfect stage in stage 9, and yet the other guys like were equally as good, because like you end up winning the class by like 2.4 seconds or something. I know Tommy Moffat had I think like a run wide or a half spin or something, but like he still was third, and he was only like less than 15 behind that again. Like this is the fine margins that this is up.
Yeah, and you don't seem to get it. And well, I know 11F there was pretty close at the weekend too, but any other class you'll not get it as close as that. Like you're talking tenths of seconds, you're talking gear changes. That's what it's down to. And that's like, because we talked, like all the drivers talked there after stage 5, which after Glendine going into 6, we were all standing there chatting, and we were saying like we're watching the times coming through, and I think there was maybe 4 or 5 of us within maybe 10 seconds. And 10 seconds is nothing over 16 kilometers. And you just think, how can that actually happen?
Because like even you think 2.4 seconds over 9 stages. It's
madness.
It's not. Because if you started to think about it, it would just you'd be thinking, what are we at here?
By the time you thought about it, the 2.4 seconds over.
I was like there on just coming off of the last of stage 8. I was looking through the times, and I seen Matthew Boyle and Gary Byrne. They took 1.2 out of us over the mountain, and I was thinking, oh crap, we're in bother here. Because I knew and then Gareth was like, oh, we have to go into this bloody stage again, because he didn't like it. And I was sweating bullets, because I was thinking, all I said to him was, just drive as hard as you can. I didn't tell him the gap or nothing. No. And he didn't actually know the gap going into the last stage until after the last stage. So I told him how close it was after the rally, after we were done. And Gareth was just gobsmacked. He couldn't believe it. And I was afraid of telling him, because I didn't want him to be panicked or anything. So I just thought I'd stay quiet here and hope to God that we came through and did a good job.
Because in some ways, Gareth, you were probably better not knowing, because if you'd have known that he was coming at you like that, you might have gone into that last stage with like a slightly different mindset, and I need to break that wee bit later here, I'll push on a wee bit more here, and that because those fine margins, that just could have been the difference between having that wee kind of half overshoot, or just maybe missing your breaking point.
Yeah, and as Oisin says there, I didn't know until after, probably later on that evening, that there was that close going into the last stage. We thought we had done a good stage 8. I think we had maybe 10 seconds out of our previous time on it, which over that length is probably not much, but there's a brave bit of gathering in 10 seconds. And obviously Matthew went quicker. We did have one moment down into Hairpin at the end where we went down the grass, just trying to get stopped, but here, there's one of them things. It's coming down the mountain where everything was warm. I probably just was pushing my luck a wee bit too much, but we both reset going into stage 9. And I can remember me and Oisin both taking deep breaths before the start line of stage 9. So when you know that's when you're focusing,
it's game on.
Yeah, belts are tighter than they were.
Yeah. And we should mention too, the motor club, they put on a fantastic rally there on Sunday as well. Everybody just loved it, especially that mountain stage, the Glendine one. Anybody I've heard talking with Kelly and Andy says that's as good a stage as anywhere in the country.
Yeah, 100%. That is probably one of the best stages I've done. You can compare it to the likes of Torr Head, You've the big, only it's not as wide. Like you've the big jumps, you've fast sections, you've narrow sections. You know, it is probably one of the best there is. But that gravelly bit out over the top now is just different. Different gravy out over that now. You just have to adapt yourself.
Yeah, and Oisin, like, you know, whenever it's flowing like that and, you know, everyone's just going so well, there's nowhere better than being sitting in that passenger seat calling them notes.
It feels great. Like it's great when you can just trust that the driver's going to do what they're going to do. Even like when, as Gareth said, we had the moment coming down the mountain, I went quiet and I was just staring straight out the windscreen. I was thinking, he's actually gathering it. And I don't even know if Gareth realised he was, but I felt like he was. And then once we got round the corner, I called the next note. But it's a great feeling to be able to trust the man beside you that he's going to do exactly what you expect him to. And all you have to do is just call and make sure your notes are in time and that. And hope everything works out at the end of the stage.
Mm-hmm. And Gareth, you know, Oisin talks about trust, that he knows you know, you have the capability, but you know he has the capability of calling you the notes when you need them and all too. Like it's a very strong bond that has to be between a driver and a co-driver.
Yeah, you have to have it. You have to have confidence in the person sitting beside you. If you don't have confidence, your stage times aren't there. And you take that right up the levels. You know, you talk to any driver, like they have to have confidence that what their navigator's calling is right. Like the last thing you want to be doing is hesitating, going into a corner or coming out of the corner into the next one. You know, you have to have that bond and chemistry there. Like, and as we said at the start there, it is all about a good recce. You know, and if you can get a good relationship going throughout your recce's and your rallies, you know, it usually does pay off.
Mm-hmm. That's for sure. And I suppose before we start wrapping up, but like I suppose something we should mention is like you have a great team behind you there. Trevor, you know, has been running your car like forever now at this stage, you know, and you know every time you step into that car, that car's well sorted. That's good to go.
Yeah, look, I started with Trevor. I've won the juniors in Northern Ireland in 2017 and got the chance to do Wales WRC event. So I hired Trevor's Honda Civic at the time to do the event, which I done. And then ever since that, he's got me the couple of Northern Ireland championships to my belt. He took me on with the R200 and we brought that to a level that nobody had ever seen it before. Mm-hmm. And, you know, he's always there. Like I could lift the phone at any time, ring him. Oh, I need to go and test. We want to do a setup change, you know, and he's all, even in service. Like if I say to him, what do you think about doing this? He mightn't necessarily agree and then he'll explain himself. You know, if some teams you'll go to and if you come to them with something, they'll say, no, that doesn't work. Yeah. You know, and that's it. You know, but he's very good technical, you know, and you know, the car's down there at the minute again getting re-prepped for Carlo in a couple of weeks and there's never no issues there.
Yeah. And then, you know, like the championship now, like where you roll into Carlo and then 2 weeks after that you're into Munster. Like it's a busy championship, but in a good way, because like you can go and do your rickies on the Saturday, do the rally on the Sunday, and like minimal time of work, you know, minimal fuss. It's a very competitor friendly championship.
Yeah, it is. Like, and we've had 2 there this month in April, which is it's tough for the wee man that's doing it, you know, but it is a good championship on a whole. And as you said, like you have the Carlo and Limerick coming up there, and then you have stone throwers, you know, so it will kind of all be. You'll have a lot of rounds done by July time, and then you have, I suppose, the Harvest there and Galway to finish it out.
Yeah. And like Oisin, from your point of view, like a championship you enjoy being involved in as well?
Yeah, definitely. It's just great to be able to be at such a high level in a very competitive championship. And the great thing about the national championship is because of the one-day format, you can't afford to slack, so you're full concentration for the whole day. And it's nearly as tiring. Actually, I thought Mayo was more tiring than Galway this year because of conditions, and also because it was more intense for the day. So yeah, from a navigator's point of view, it's very good. Like it's simpler in terms of organization and logistics and stuff, but from an absolute pace point of view, it's very good because it's hot and heavy from the start to the finish. Like.
Mm-hmm. And Gareth, I suppose before the very last word is like, take sponsors to make all this happen, and you've been lucky to have some very good people behind you. And I'm sure if there's anybody out there wanting to get behind a Rally 4 run out, you'd be more than happy to listen to anybody.
Yeah, of course. Like I've had a couple of good ones throughout the years. At the minute, we have RJ Smith engineering, Stanley Smith tiling and bathrooms. We have Chieftain Homes there on board. We've Donegal Auto Parts on board. We've WW Tires on board. And there is obviously Trevor there as well. We have a couple of them ones who have been with me kind of from the start or near enough it. And it is good to have them there and the support that they give, because without them we wouldn't be rallying, and that's just the long and the short of it. It is really a one-man band, along with the sponsors, and that's the size of the team we are. Like Trevor's only himself and maybe another person or two, but it is a small team.
So thanks to each and every one of those there. It was a brilliant wee chats we had there. So this weekend then coming up, first of all we'll look at Deja Vu Northwest. It's been run, by Plum and Robert Little is kind of the driving forces behind it. What can we say? Top class lineup. It really is. Like there's some, of the vintage stars, shall we say, and some of the young guns there as well too. And it's not a rally, but for anybody that's rally minded, it'll be a go-to event, Connor.
Oh, listen, it's just it's fantastic to get to see the cars being driven around the old stages. Now, they've been driven around in anger, but it's still, a chance to see the old liveries and the old cars and just kind of, brings back memories, or just appreciate how well they've been maintained and restored. Plus, as you say, there's a few famous names there that we know from rallying, famous rally names anyway. Mm-hmm. And then some of our young guns like Eamon Kelly and William and that, Creighton will be taking part as well.
That's for sure. That's just, and it's for a really good cause as well too. Like all the money raised is going to the Maguire and McDonald family too. Because we know what happened in Sligo last year. So it's lovely to see once again the rally community coming together and rallying around for a really good cause. So I think that's going to be really, really good too. And fingers crossed, the weather in Donegal has been very good this week. So if we can keep this going now until at least Saturday, I think it's going to be epic. And there's such an array of cars. Like if you like Quattros, Legacies, Mantas, Nissan 240 RSs, Ladas. I think there's two Ladas. So a feast for everybody there. So anybody around the Northwest area, if you can get there on Saturday, it's leaving Sligo, coming in toward Donegal town before heading back to Sligo. So and there's programs available, and I think it's all on the Facebook page there for Deja Vu Tours. So that would, but I caught up with Plum Tyndall. Connor, what can we say? Plum Tyndall is that voice of our rallying generation.
Look, it just brings me back to my, teenage years following rallying, and every Thursday night RPM, mm-hmm. And such a distinctive voice, and he was just Mr. Rallyman, Yeah. It's a bit like Steve Ryder, on Grandstand or mm-hmm. World of Sport, but just. Even the mention of the word plum, you don't even get Tyndall, and everybody knows you're talking about. You know?
I could think, I was trying to think, plan the interview and what I was going to say to him, and then the minute he said hello, Kevin, I was like, whoa. So anyway, let's hear from Plum. I'm now joined by one of the legends of Irish rallying, Plum Tyndall. You're very welcome along.
Thank you.
So Plum, Deja Vu has become a success over the last, I suppose it's probably 10 years now it's run, and it's become one of those things, if you just looked at it on paper, you're thinking, what's the attraction? But it's become even better than the sum of its parts.
Well, I think people just really enjoy it. It's a very relaxing weekend, and they're meeting old friends, they're looking at their cars, they're enjoying running them, and they've probably moved on a little bit in years, and they maybe wouldn't be as competitive, but don't tell them that. But it's just it seems to have hit a gap that people are loving.
Yeah, and it's really caught the imagination of the public as well, because the public seem to really enjoy getting out and seeing, some of the, more seasoned competitors and seeing some of the older cars as well.
Fabulous. Yeah, I mean, we didn't specify rally cars, but it just grew into that. And we used to say at the beginning, if it's got four wheels and you're proud of it, bring it along, But now people are rebuilding cars just to take part in it, and that's wonderful. So we're seeing wonderful old cars rejuvenated and recreated, and it's a joy, really. Yeah.
Yeah. And probably one of the ingredients of its success has been the way you're able to attract, competitors from yesteryear as well too. And like this year's no different. You have your head's going blank. Randy Alton coming over, and he's going to be there in the mini as well.
Yeah, we always try and get a couple of international names, and we've had a hell of a list over the years. I mean, Walter Rull, who would have believed we could have got him, and Stig Blomqvist and these sort of people. Unfortunately, there was a kind of a mid-generation there that there was an awful lot of tragedy, and Frank Maher and Bertie Fisher and those people, and Russell Brooks. A lot of those people now aren't around anymore. So it can be a bit difficult to get the international names, but to bring Ronno over, and Ronno's 86, and I don't know what time of the morning he's getting up to get to Dublin Airport, but he arrives about 10:30. And then he comes up, and he's marvellous. And of course, he's out in Petey Crawford's replica Mini Cooper S, which was exactly a replica of Paddy Hopkirk's one of in the 60s, which was the team that Ronno drove in.
And like you mentioned the name there, Paddy Hopkirk. Paddy was over and done the event that run out at Donegal Town back in 2021. And like, for a man, I don't know what age he was then, he was the life and soul of the party. Like, he had so much energy.
Paddy was amazing. He was a terrific supporter of us. I think he was on at least 3 of our events, and he's a very non-PC man, and he gets away with saying things that you wouldn't get away with nowadays. But he was wonderful. He was a true supporter, Yeah,
for sure. And then also this year, Matthew Wilson's coming over to do the event, and he'll be reunited with a Focus for the event as well too, which is lovely.
That's right. Well, Davy Greer has actually come up with a car now, and that'll be it's an X-Works car, so that'll be fabulous. And of course, Matthew won one of the pilot events for Rally Ireland, so that's very appropriate that he's with us.
Yeah, because this event is kind of celebrating, Rally Ireland run out of Sligo, and as well as the Connaught Motor Club as well too. It's using some of the Rally Ireland stages, and like we've seen how close Ireland come to hosting the WRC again. Like, it's only 15 years since the last time, but I think we've kind of forgot how big a deal that having the World Championship here in our shores was.
Absolutely amazing, when I heard that it was actually going to be centred in Sligo, I couldn't believe it, because I spent the first, well, not the first, I spent from when I was 2 to when I was about 12 in Sligo, so that's a really formative years, and so I still look upon it as really as my hometown. So that was wonderful that it was coming back there at the wrong time of the year. That was the only thing. They didn't have much choice in that.
No, because we can just imagine the helicopter shots if that was in June, July, or whatever. It would have just took Ireland to a whole new audience, tourist-wise.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And you were going through absolutely wonderful countryside, which we will be going through next weekend. And they didn't really see it at its best, but what can you do?
That's for sure. And this weekend coming, we talked, and you're going to visit some of the old Rally Ireland, Sligo Stages Rally, and some Donegal stages as well too. It's going to be an adventure for all those guys and girls taking part.
Absolutely. We start with Lochgill, the famous famous stage along the shores of Lochgill, which Mr. Grunholm will always be remembered for.
Yes.
Unfortunately, he smote the wall pretty badly there. But we go there, and then we go sort of cross country, sort of almost close to Manelhammett, and across again Lake Melvin, and it's a lovely route really, and taking in quite a few of the Rally Ireland stages and some of the Sligo Rally stages as well, and ending up with 2 classics. They really should be top 10 stages of any in Ireland, and that's Mullockmore and the Horseshoe. Yeah.
That's on the way back from Donegal Town back into Sligo again too, and as well as that, you're getting the opportunity for the competitors and all to visit the Stables Museum, and that's world class. It's not, it's not one of the best museums in Ireland. This is a world-class facility.
Absolutely, absolutely fabulous. Just a little word of caution there. It is only the competitors that are not the entrants. We don't call them competitors. The entrants that will get in there on Saturday, because it's going to be quite a crush. I mean, we've 150 cars competing, I kind of used the wrong word, taking part in this event. So, we do ask the public to sort of not try and come there on Saturday, because it's going to be full, and I'm afraid they won't be allowed in. But there'll be plenty of opportunities for them to visit it, no doubt, in the future.
Yeah, and there's ample opportunities for for the public to come and meet their heroes as well too. There's in the morning before they leave Sligo, and then there is Donegal town at lunchtime, and then back to Sligo in the evening, and then Sunday there's going to be a fantastic opportunity there to come and to meet the stars as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, the enthusiasts will no doubt even gather on Friday afternoon as they all arrive at the retail park, and they'll be parked up there overnight. There's a reception, a little small reception, welcome reception for the entrance. And then from 9:30 onwards, they leave. The ceremonial kind of start is at the retail park at 9:30. And there'll be commentary for the first 30 or 40 cars. Then they do Lochgill, and then they sort of go over the mountains, skirting Bundoran, skirting
Donegal town then as well.
Yeah, there's a coffee halt at
a Keys there in Lackey.
Yeah, at Lackey, yeah, that'd be good. So the Lochgill, the first car should be there about 9:45. Then they do a bit of Loch Esk, just the last bit of Loch Esk. They'll be there about 12 o'clock. And then a big opportunity to meet them is in Donegal town. And I believe we've got an absolutely top-class commentator there to help us out.
I don't know. We'll not bum him up too much. You make you embarrassed.
Oh, he comes very well recommended.
But
so they should then be in there about 2:15, 2:30. You know.
And then back to Sligo, and Sligo County Council is making a big effort for this. They're closing off the Conley Street for you coming in as well.
Yeah, and we'll actually be going the wrong way up O'Connell Street. So we'll have an archway there, and the commentary again, and Bex Williams, the voice of World Rally Championship. She is our co-commentator and also our compere in the evening. Yeah. So we're delighted that she's coming over. So she'll be helping me out at the finish there in Sligo, and as will Ocean FM. And so that'll be fun. So they'll be there from about 4:15 or so to 5:15, 6 o'clock nearly. And then the sort of rally cars, and those who wish will go to Sligo Airport and be parked up there overnight. And there is a shuttle bus service provided by very well-known Sligo man, Martin Riley. And then the gala dinner in the Sligo Park Hotel on Saturday evening, which is totally oversold at the moment. We've got over 300 people in a room that is going to be a wee bit tight, but very friendly.
Yeah, and another thing we should mention is, not only is this the stars of yesteryear, we have the current world stars as well. Will Creighton, Eamon Kelly, Aaron Johnson's all coming as well on Saturday.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, it's great to get. This is a thing that I really would need to do in Deja Vu, is perpetuate the thing and getting the young people involved as well, and the middle-aged people, and so that's great. It's great to get them along, and they're doing so well. This academy, the Motorsport Academy, is just doing fabulous things for Ireland, really. So, and to have them along supporting us is wonderful.
Yeah, because you've been there, done that. You've seen the generations of Irish rallying. But this at the moment, I do believe we'll look back now in a few years' time, and this will be a golden era of Irish rallying. The competition here in Ireland, it's 10th of a second separating it, and we have guys there competing with the best in the world in equal terms and equal cars, and they're doing us all proud.
Well, I think John Coyne should be beatified, really.
Yes.
He's put his money where his mouth is, big time on this. And, he's a retired man now. He did very well in business, had a bit of extra cash, and he's really putting in the right places. And he's got the right people advising him too, because these kids are getting results. It's great.
That's for sure. That's for sure. And then, we should mention as well, this is, yes, there's going to be a lot of fun on Saturday and then over the whole weekend. But, the money's raised is going to a great cause as well.
Well, this is a particularly poignant one. As you know, the McDonald and the Maguire families were very sadly bereaved in the Sligo Rally last year, Sligo Stages. And I have met the two ladies involved, and I can honestly tell you, Kevin, I've never met more inspiring people in my life than these two wonderful people. Their whole attitude is that their loved ones were doing what they loved best when it happened, and they've such a positive attitude, and they have filled out the gala dinner. There's 3 tables from the families. They've provided prizes for the auction. They're actually sitting in some of the rally cars, and there's ceremony. They're starting the first car away from the start, so they're wholeheartedly behind this. And I just hope that the public will realise what wonderful people they are, what enormous sacrifices they've made, and just show them, as they already know, the support they get from the rally community. But we want to make this a record-breaking take, really, for the charity this weekend. And I'm very confident that we can do it. And the simplest way to do it is to buy a program. And, got one here somewhere. Yeah. And it's a great publication that the Connaught Motor Club have put together. Mm-hmm. And it's only €15, and that money goes in. It's in entirety to the charity, because very kindly the publisher in Letterkenny, he got all the advertising, gathered it all, as did the Connaught Motor Club, and so it came to us 3,000 copies, printed free. So everyone we sell, or the Connaught Motor Club sell, will go directly to the charity, and that's your way in also to Plains, Cars and Coffee on Sunday morning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this, once again, we often talk about the rally community, the rally family, the way they have pulled together and the way they will support this. It's, we nearly don't have to tell people about it. People will just want to be there and do what they can to help out.
Yeah, absolutely. But I have to now say that I can't go one step further in this podcast without saying a sincere thank you to the Connaught Motor Club. It was they that approached us and asked them to come to Sligo. It wasn't hard to persuade me to go to Sligo, but they approached us, and under Robert Liddell and his gang, they're unbelievable. They really have been unbelievable. They've done things. They've got support locally. They've self-financed things that we would normally have to pay for, like security of the cars, endless other things, So it means that our expenses aren't anything like they would be normally, which means there's more for the pot for the charity. And they've worked tirelessly, and the road book is second to none. It really is of absolute international standards. Hopefully not too confusing for some of the people who will be competing for the first time or taking part for the first time. But there's a photograph of every junction, and it's all really made really simple, and it's fun because you feel you're really in a rally, And so Connaught Motor Club, couldn't speak highly enough of them. They're absolutely fabulous. They're providing all the marshals. They're providing the start arch. It just goes on and on the list, and it's going to make it so much fun, so much easier for us enables us to devote into other directions, like the Plains, Cars and Coffee. Mm-hmm. And that's a totally new direction for us. And it came about by a sort of chance meeting. The Deja Vu following this one will be in Waterford, Dungarvan. And while we were down there looking at the hotel and talking to some of the motorsport members down there, this came about that one of them had been to the Sligo Air Show, and there'd been a couple of classic cars there, and how that the two had mingled. And I said, "Why don't we bring our cars along?" And they said, "Well, we'll have a breakfast fly-in." So there's going to be 50 planes there. Now, it's not a motor show, so people don't expect to go and see acrobatics and stunts. It's just amateurs from all over Ireland flying in for the breakfast, having a look at our cars. We're having a look at their planes, have a nice cup of coffee. Everybody goes home happy on a Sunday, and it's a lovely mix.
Yeah.
And just let me mention, FF Engineering, because the Motor Club were fully stretched to really do the first 2 days to the maximum, SF Engineering have taken on the organisation of that for us. So Seamus Farrell and his men, we are eternally grateful to them too.
Mm-hmm. Well, what more can we say? Come along at the weekend, buy the programme and have some fun.
Exactly. Yep. That's what it's all about.
So thanks very much there to Plum, like as we say, the voice of our rallying generation. And then, the voice of WRC, as Bex as well too, will be over at the weekend as well too, and she'll be helping to flag the cars off and to welcome everybody back into Sligo in the evening as well too. And no doubt she'll be making her presence felt round Donegal and all along the way as well too. And hopefully we'll catch up with Bex over the weekend as well too, which will always be great then too. So this weekend as well, the Maiden City Motor Club are running the Egan Brother stages, run out of Claudia there just outside Derry. And wow, what an entry list they have. I think the top two-wheel drives was running 18, 19 or something like that on the road. So it just speaks volumes. You have, Desi Henry, Callum Devine, Johnny Greer, the list goes on and on. It's going to be a brilliant lineup of stuff there, So that should be a great rally. It's 3 stages done twice. I caught up with Sean Dougherty and he told us all about it. Sean, we're just days away from the Maiden City stages on Saturday. This is the 50th year of the club, and the club is putting in a huge effort. And this club has been, 50 years old, but they have great heritage.
50 years old, it's a brilliant milestone to achieve this year. I wasn't there for the start of it. I'm coming 50 next year, but I've done a bit of homework around the history of it. The club was actually started in somebody's kitchen, Matt Doherty says, in 1973, and it was a loose chat with some whiskey involved, apparently. That night, the names of the people there were, and I don't know them all, I know Matt, Jimmy Stewart, Matt Doherty himself, Ian Templeton, Dr. Kinsella, and Eddie Campbell. It was a brief chat, not a brief chat, probably a lengthy chat in their kitchen. And they decided, we want to have a Maiden City Motor Club. So a few months later, in 1974, in the Broomhill Hotel, they got together and they discussed forming Maiden City Motor Club. Rumour has it that there was about 350 people at that meeting from all over. So that did start that year. They became MS UK then, was Motorsport UK was known as the RAC, the Royal Auto Club. And they became part of that. They run under right regulations, and they also joined the ANICC. And that was news to me. I didn't realise they were going that long as well. The Association of Northern Ireland Car Clubs. So it stemmed from there. And after that, I think it was 1975, they ran the first event. Again, I've heard this rumour once before. It's not a rumour. They ran an auto test in the Guildhall Square, of all places, to run an auto test. That was the first event, and apparently it was brilliant crack, and they came from miles round to watch it. But in the following years then, a few other members got involved, and some of them are still in the committee. We've got Declan McKay, who's our COC this time, Jerry Doherty, I should say, works from behind the scenes and does safety plans and stuff like that. You have Michael Kiernan, who was always involved in the original Brada Hill climb years ago. That's got Elkin Robinson, still the club president. So they're all, there's 3 of those people are still heavily involved in the club, nearly up to 50 years later, I should say.
But that just shows you, what the way that this sport that we're involved in, once it pulls you in, it's like a drug. It's hard to get away from it, and we need good people like that there. They show us how things can be done and how things can be done to the best of our ability.
The level of experience and knowledge these guys have, they're probably what I call the backbone of our club. You know, there's that, and obviously all the volunteers like marshals and all they're the backbone of motorsport. But without these couple of people I've mentioned there, Declan and Jerry especially, we wouldn't be having this rally this weekend. The amount of work they've done behind the scenes it's unreal. Like there's a couple of those members too. The late Danny Gordon, I'm sure you're aware, has done
Oh, God,
COC.
yeah.
Matt Doherty has done COC, and Declan McKay have all done COC in Donegal. We'd be fairly friendly with our neighbours. You know, we work together on a lot of things, and have done for quite a number of years as well. I think people have had roles in both clubs at the same time.
Yeah, like you know that, and this is the great thing about rallying and motorsport in general. Like there is no border. Like you know, it's very much cross community, cross border. Everybody's there for the good of the sport.
Yes, and it doesn't matter who you are, where you're from. You're treated just the same. That's great.
If you're there to help and do good, you're welcomed in.
You're part of the rally family, and that's the long and the short of it.
Yeah, and then you're very fortunate as well too. You know, as well as having good people around, you have good supporters there and good sponsors. Like this event now at the weekend, Eakin Brothers sponsoring it, and like you couldn't ask for a better sponsor.
You actually couldn't ask for a better sponsor with Peter Regan, who's the managing director of Eakin Brothers. He's also a Maiden City Motor Club committee member. You have Joel Eakin, his son, who's the market manager down there. I sat with Joel in the rally car for a good couple of years, probably 4 or 5 years there. Great people. But what Peter gives the club through his company, Eakin Brothers, is unreal. We get financial support, but he's more than a sponsor. He absolutely loves rallying. So does Joel. Like I was out running around one of their vans today. They give us vans, pickups, whatever we need. They've let us have premises down there for the scrutiny venues down at Claudia and Maydown, and the HQ is one of the Claudia, I should say. So like what they give to the club is unreal, and raises the whole profile of the rally. And I really, really hope it works out in terms of extra sales or whatever, the coverage they get out of the whole thing. You know, if anybody is looking for a Brian James trader, give them a shout. There's a few more things they on their portfolio of businesses. They're a Subaru dealer, they're an Isuzu dealer. They sell M-Tech trailers now. They sell quality used cars. They got a showroom full of real nice, good cars down there at the minute. If you do see the blue M12B coming around as zero car, then give them a wave, because Peter and Joel are doing safety car, the zero car, and their newly acquired Subaru, which is it's nearly 20 years old, but we believe it's only done about 15 rallies, and there's not too many left like it. So keep an eye out and give them a wave. It'll be good to see it in the stages. So.
Yeah, and like, as well as that too, you're very fortunate then, as you know, Robinsons has given you the use of their yard as well too. And like this is a concrete yard. This is not like just a car park or something. This is somewhere that's a place of work for these guys as well.
So on Saturday we have Robinson's concrete yard, as you say, out on Claudy. They've given us the use of the yard. The yard is still actually in operation today, and it helps us that they're very, very good at giving the use of the yard, and it helps us run a better for value entry fee. Without them, things would be definitely different from a competitor point of view. The one thing I would say, there's barriers set up around there, and they've let us part of the yard. I need everybody to stay inside the barriers, because there's going to be their lorries running around in the background. I think the last time 1 or 2 competitors had moved the barriers back or gone to the wrong side of them, and it can't happen again, or we'll lose an absolutely brilliant venue for service. But we couldn't be more thankful to them for letting us use the yard. It's the second time this time now we've run out of there.
Yeah, and like not only that, like the lineup of competitors now that's going to be there on Saturday as well too. It's almost like an international rally. Never mind around the Northern Ireland Championship. You know, you have your tarmac champion, Northern Ireland champions. The list goes on and on. It's just a fantastic entry you have pulled together.
I couldn't be more delighted about the entry. When I came there we were starting to work out who was going to run where or whatever, it was really, really hard. I think I lost count of the number of R5 cars somewhere in about the 30s or something like that. Counted up and thought, this is absolute madness. It's great to have an entry like that with some top 2-wheel drive men.
Yeah.
The likes of the champion there, Desi Henry, who won it the last time. If Damien Tourist there in the two-wheel drive who won it the last time, and Callum Devine's won second. It's great to have a tarmac champion there from Ireland.
Mm-hmm.
It would be too hard to mention all the big cars and the big drivers in it, but
Yeah.
there's a few more. I'm not going to name names or whatever, but there are people still looking for an entry. So I would plead with anybody, if you can't make it this weekend for whatever reason, please ring us as soon as possible and let us know, because we'd like to get as many people running for a better competition for everybody, better event. There might be another couple of big names coming in, but we need the people to let us know so we can let them in and have enough time to get ready.
Excellent. And as well, like you mentioned Callum Devine, a local guy, and Jordan Honan as well too. For them to be able to compete on their home turf, that must be really cool for them guys as well. And there's a few other competitors down throughout the field as well. And not saying that it's the roads they use every day, of course they're not, but even to be going to an event within 2 or 3 miles of your home, it must be pretty special for them.
Well, I know that because I'm a local man here myself, and I've done the rally the last 2 times. Unfortunately, I can't do it this time because it's our 50th anniversary, and we tried to jazz things up a bit, and we ran an extra stage just to make it more interesting. So the last 2 times it was 2 stages run 3 times. Now it's 3 stages run twice, and one of the stages is completely new. So it's going to wake people up in the morning. It's a good stage. So like getting up in the morning, and you can go from here to the driver's briefing. You can get up at 7:30 in the morning and still not be late. And you're back home at dinner time. So it's like these guys here, rather than running the country and being knackered, they should be really switched on for this, I would say.
Excellent. Sean, we mentioned the event run out of Claudy. So, like, roughly what time will the cars be leaving Claudy out on Saturday morning?
First car is due to service at about 10 o'clock. The first stage will start shortly after. That's within 2 or 3 miles outside Claudy. It's called Lisbonny. It's on the way to Dunnamana. After that, they go on through Dunnamana and out to Alpmachine, which was used the last time. And after that, they go down through Early Garvan and end up on Colquhoun's Dip. It's been renamed for one of the volunteers we have who lives in the local area. But they're all 3 great stages, and I think the drivers will find. I know the drivers definitely enjoy the second and third one because they've been on them before. But the first one, it'll wake them up weird. It's good to have something different in it this year. And this is all for the 50th year, just to have that extra stage in it.
Excellent. And as well as that, then too, there's one main service throughout the day. Then, at what time will the crews be back into service from?
There's one service. It's in around lunchtime. They do 3 in the morning roughly, and they're in around lunchtime. And there's a regroup just before it, and then they'll come back out and do 3 in the afternoon. The whole thing should be over maybe between 4 and 5 o'clock.
Excellent, excellent. And as well as that, then too, it's vital that spectators are, if they're going to be there spectating, is to listen to what you've been told by the marshals and the officials. That these are the backbone of the sport.
100%. These people travel for miles at times. They give up their time. They get up maybe at 4:30 in the morning to get here, to stand on a road all day. Sometimes the weather's atrocious, and without them, there simply wouldn't be any rally. So we really, really appreciate anybody that comes, and we'd really like spectators to listen to them. They're there to keep spectators safe, and that's our number one priority, that everybody comes home from this rally the way they left in the morning. So please listen to the marshals. They're not asking you to move for any silly reason or anything like that. And when you're driving to and from the event as well, have a bit of sense in the roads, and everybody come home safe after it. And just regarding the marshals, I just want to mention they'll be fed in the morning. If anybody still wants to sign up, they can do. They'll be fed in the morning, and we're going to give them a snack bag. I think I have one here actually. That's another room. The marshals got a gift from Eakin Brothers. It's a nice wee writing pad. Half of it's lined, half of it is like plain paper. There's a pen in it, and it's Eakin Brothers 2024, and then it's the Maiden City 50th anniversary logo. So that there. We also have an incentive because we realised there this year we're asking marshals to come for 3 big events, and it's a lot of expense involved, fuel and cars to go up and down the country nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
So we're running a draw. Anybody who signs on rally scores, so we can try and plan where marshals are, will get bonus points. But anybody who signs up to marshal all day will get points. So over the 3 events between now and the end of the year, the marshals with the most points will get put on a draw for £500 first prize, 250, 150, and then 200. So we can't pay them all as much as they probably are worth, but it's just a way of trying to give something extra back to them.
Yeah, because as we say, like they are making this happen, so it's nice to give back as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Without them, I couldn't do it. There wouldn't be any rallying without the volunteers. That's the bottom line of it.
And like we mentioned earlier, the 50th year of the club as well. Yes, sir, a huge undertaking this year, hoping to run 3 rallies. Like, most clubs, right, will run one event, one rally, and that's a lot of work. But it just shows you the strength and depth of the club that they're prepared to run 3 rallies.
It's 3 rallies this year. We have the Egan Brothers, which is around the McGrady and Northern Ireland Rally Championship. Great to be part of that, and the first road closed event. You mentioned 2 names there, Jordan and Paul Hone, who are doing our event. They're the title sponsor for the dog leap, and we get a lot of inquiries about the dog leap. I think it's maybe 15, maybe 20 years since it last ran. We weren't getting entries, and financially it wasn't working out with repair costs. But there's a few people on board that are willing to help us with that. It's great to have Primary Car Parts, which is Paul Hone's business, Jordan's father, on board. The last thing then is our normal turkey run, which will be run down to Shackleton again this year. But it's 2 major rallies this year, and I don't want to call it turkey run unless they're rally, because historically it's our highest number of competitors at Christmas. Everybody wants out of the house for Christmas time for a bit of rally when nothing else is on. So it's going to be to me, I think it's going to be our best year ever.
And like the dog leap is what 20 years ago was one of those iconic rallies. It was like the start of the forestry season. It was like the kickstart. We went from the dog leap into the Lakeland, into the Bushwhacker, into the Glens, and the Cam Springwell. Like those are stages that will stand up to the bestest forestry stages anywhere in Ireland.
100%, and the number of people, there's younger people. Forestry man I sit with all the time in a rally car, he's been at me to do this. He says, we need to go and do this. I watched this as a Wayne, a child, and I really want to go and do this, and it's not just him, and then there's the ones who did it years ago and think, it would be great, absolutely great to get back there. So it's a lot of work putting it together, but I think it's worth doing. Maybe we might be able to sustain it, but it all depends on entries. So again, hey, please support us with entries, and maybe we might be able to make it a more than a one-off thing.
That's for sure. Because Sean, well, no doubt we'll speak closer to that event. But yeah, I think it was one of the best events on the calendar, and it would be great to see it return.
Yeah, I remember doing helping out at it years ago when I was a bit younger. Timekeeping and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
It has been missed. But it needs to be, it has to work, we need the entries in, so support the event, travel the country and come, you'll not regret it.
So thanks very much there to Sean, and best of luck at everybody competing this weekend, whether it be Deja Vu, we've a lot of crews out in Portugal this weekend as well too, or in the Maiden City as well too, so lots there to be keeping us hopefully in a show next week. Before we go, I suppose we would like to just pay our condolences to Gary Wilson's family as well. Like, got to meet Gary a couple of times there over the last maybe 7 or 8 months. He was part of the Sydney Meet team, and we met him up at the night we had with Vincent Bonner, and then I met him there after that as well too. Just a lovely character, great turn of phrase, and also, I only met him a couple of times, but the 2 times I met him was a pleasure. So rest in peace there, Gary. So that is season 3, episode 22. Until the next time, take care, speak soon, and bye.